The day my girlfriend's first love came begging for her back, the ferry I was on met with disaster. Before closing my eyes, I sent her one final message. Unsurprisingly, I received her furious voice reply, "Leo, why don't you just drop dead?" Later, as she wished, I truly sank to the ocean's depths. The soul turned into a gentle breeze, brushing past the balcony of our old apartment. The weathered notebook by the windowsill was lifted by the wind, falling randomly onto one page. It was written by her at 17. The handwriting had faded somewhat, but was still faintly legible. She wrote, "Leo has no family left. I'll stay with Leo always. Chloe Miller will always love Leo White." 1. After my death, my soul drifted out of the cabin and returned to my girlfriend Chloe. She was having a candlelit dinner with her first love, Julian, in the private booth. Immersed in warm intimacy, she had put on makeup and perfume, allowing Julian to drunkenly brush against her body with ambiguous intention. Julian's white suit had an indecently low-cut collar. He pressed Chloe's hand against his face and spoke in that nauseatingly hoarse voice with vocal fry. "Chloe, stay with me, okay? You don't know how much I've missed you all these years." I clenched my teeth, too afraid to imagine what scene might unfold next. Fortunately, Chloe didn't respond. She quietly withdrew her hand, putting distance between them as she sighed helplessly. "Julian, don't be like this." Hovering in midair, I momentarily lost myself. So this is how she sounds when she speaks properly. No furrowed brows, no hoarse shouts of curses. How long has it been now? Ever since I injured Julian, she hasn't given me a single kind look. Every conversation feels like we're trying to stab knives into each other's hearts. The entire evening, Julian dropped several hints, but Chloe remained completely unmoved. Until the very end, Julian's colleague from his influencer management agency called him, saying that some fans had taken photos of Chloe having dinner with him, and they needed to handle the PR crisis urgently. The photos looked quite suggestive. Chloe glanced at them dismissively and chuckled. What if Leo sees this? Her words trailed off abruptly, probably realizing she had mentioned someone she shouldn't have. Her face turned extraordinarily grim, though not surprisingly. She detested me so much that even hearing my name made her uncomfortable. When we first got together, anytime there was a man around Chloe who showed interest in her, I would punch them outright, regardless of time or place. She was shocked by my possessiveness and furiously called me insane. I confessed I couldn't change. I couldn't bear to restrict her from wearing stylish, sexy clothes, so I had to restrict the lecherous gazes of others instead. She was angrily lecturing me about freedom and independence, saying she wasn't my appendage. On our first dating anniversary, she deliberately humiliated me. At the restaurant I'd reserved, she passionately kissed another man right in front of me. Mad with rage, I rushed forward and overturned their dining table. As a result, she stood there with unrestrained satisfaction, watching my madness with cold detachment. Her smile was cruel. "Leo, didn't you bring this upon yourself? How does it feel to keep someone who doesn't love you chained by your side?" I knew she hated me, always had, for driving away the man she loved most. I resented that I had to please her parents, binding our futures together. I knew I was to blame in front of her, so I demeaned myself utterly in her presence. I always believed that as long as I kept treating her well, that obedient and gentle girl from before would surely return. But I underestimated Julian's place in her heart. At this very moment, I finally admit it, we can never go back. Yet I can't bear to let go either. Chloe is the little princess I hold dearest to my heart. How could I allow a bastard like Julian to covet her? Selfish or obsessive, I must keep her with me. I can't remember how that day ended, only that I stepped through the wreckage on the floor and stared straight into her eyes. "Chloe Miller, you might despise me, but you're bound to stay by my side. Stop provoking me, or no one will get out of this unscathed." She grabbed the nearest object and hurled it at me, and so began our 3 long years of torment. On the 3rd day after my death, Chloe suddenly found herself staring blankly at our chat history. She scrolled through the screen, barely finding a kind word, her fingertips lingering on our last conversation. After Julian returned to the country, I threatened to forbid her from seeing him. Otherwise, I'd break another one of Julian's legs. Chloe cursed me to die. If I could speak right now, I'd genuinely like to congratulate her. How wonderful, Chloe, your wish has come true. Without a self-righteous obstacle like me in the way, you've finally gotten to be with the one you love. I imagined she'd be overjoyed, but instead, she stared at our chat screen until she couldn't keep her eyes open anymore and fell asleep on the couch. Could she have been waiting for a message from me? The ridiculousness of that thought startled me. Indeed, I had also fantasized that Chloe might care for me a little, but the lesson of unrequited affection was simply too painful. On the night of my 10th birthday, Seattle was buried under heavy snow. I was the only one left in the entire lab. The swirling snow obscured the path ahead as I walked out of the academic building. There stood Chloe under the dim yellow streetlight, slender and delicate, a gift box still in her hand. No one could fathom the overwhelming joy I felt in that instant. It's like something you've nurtured carefully, thinking it's finally blossoming and bearing fruit. I was thrilled. "Chloe, you." Before I could finish, she impatiently tossed the gift box at me. "A gift from my mom. If she asks, just say you got it. so she won't bother me anymore. My smile froze on my lips. So, she wasn't waiting for me to celebrate my birthday, she just wanted to complete her mom's errand. Chloe noticed something keenly, clasped her hands behind her back, tilted her head up, and narrowed her eyes. Oh, what are you expecting? She leaned slightly forward toward me, her beautiful lips curling into a scornful smile. Leo, are you worthy? Don't forget, you stole someone else's happiness. What goes around comes around. The gift box tumbled awkwardly into the snow as Chloe walked away without looking back. My thoughts drifted back as I gazed at the sleeping face of the person on the sofa. Suddenly curious, I wondered if my death could cancel out her hatred for me. On the 5th day after my death, Chloe still hadn't come looking for me, nor did she know the truth. Yet when Julian got injured during a live stream, a single phone call sent her rushing to his side. I yawned listlessly, letting my soul be led away by some invisible force trailing after her. The live stream venue was in complete chaos. Julian wasn't faking weakness this time, there was a bone-deep gash on his left leg. Seeing Chloe arrive, his colleague spoke up indignantly before he could say a word. Miss Miller, kindly keep your people in line. Must they resort to petty tricks every time? That remark wasn't exactly giving Chloe face. She oversaw ad placements on major platforms. In a way, I could be considered half a client of Julian's. After Julian returned to China, Chloe gave him all the best resources she had. She spent lavishly to assemble a professional team and hired famous MCN agencies to collaborate. You could say he could film whatever he wanted, it was quite obvious she was promoting him. Logically, no one would be so tactless as to deliberately make things difficult. Chloe carefully avoided his injured area, frowning as she asked, "Who did this?" Julian looked pitifully aggrieved, like a wronged little puppy. His tears immediately softened Chloe's heart, and she gently wiped them away for him. "Julian, if you've been wronged, tell me. I have the power to protect you now, unlike back then." She was convinced I was the one causing trouble, so she went straight to Sarah, my former supervisor. Sarah is now the owner of the MCN Julian signed with and can mobilize all filming resources. She'd always disliked Chloe. Hearing about her entanglement with Julian, she was so furious she smashed half the office in front of Chloe. Miss Miller is so devoted, her old flame gets hurt and she rushes straight here demanding answers. Anyone would think he's your boyfriend instead. Chloe didn't mince words either. Miss Sarah had better learn not to bring personal emotions into the workplace. Otherwise, she might need to consider a career change. A blatant threat, Sarah scoffed. "Are you going to blacklist me? That's hilarious. Even if you're a client, you're just another wage slave. Remember that time at the location shoot? When you had a high fever in the heavy snow and the car broke down? Who carried you on their back through the snowstorm all night? Every time you threw your spoiled little tantrums at the office, offending everyone and refusing to tolerate the slightest grievance, who smoothed things over for you? You think you could have climbed the ladder so smoothly and avoided industry sabotage without me?" Sarah grew increasingly impassioned. "Did you really think you were some princess who could magically make everyone put up with your bullshit without limits?" Chloe suddenly fell silent, her hands clenched into fists. After a long while, she turned her head away. She tossed out a faint sentence, "He volunteered." My heart ached with a sudden pang, and I clenched my fists tightly. Why couldn't even death bring me peace? Must I stay by her side every moment, constantly reminded of how foolish those things I did for her were? Outside the window, the twilight sky was ablaze with fiery clouds. After hearing Chloe's words, Sarah unusually calmed down. She took out a pair of rings. "I designed these rings myself, newly engraved with the initials of Chloe and me. I had them custom made at a high price before my business trip, intending to give them to Chloe as a birthday gift upon my return. Unfortunately, I couldn't retrieve them due to the ferry accident. Unexpectedly, Sarah retrieved them. After showing Chloe the engraved letters, Sarah tossed them straight into the trash. Worthless trinkets. I suppose Miss Miller wouldn't care anyway. I have to admit, Sarah really understands me. Keeping those rings would only be a joke. I want to throw them away too. If there was any lingering attachment I had toward Chloe, it all vanished the moment she said voluntarily. I loved her for so many years, was persistent for so many years, yet my heart died in just an instant. Sarah couldn't be bothered to look at her anymore. She left with one final remark, "I'll be waiting to see Miss Miller regret this," before turning away. Chloe stood frozen in place for what felt like an eternity. In the end, I watched with my own eyes as she picked up the ring from the garbage bin and slid it onto the ring finger of her left hand. For the entire afternoon, Chloe didn't utter a single word. Julian had contacted her once during that period, probably wanting Chloe to accompany him to the hospital. She refused, nor did she have the patience to coax anyone. She deliberately ignored Julian's ashen face and returned to our apartment. For a long time, that place could be called our home. On the way back, we passed a bridal shop. As if bewitched, Chloe walked in. During our university days, we passed this shop countless times. Each time I would jokingly say, "Chloe, why don't you pick out a few dresses you like?" She was proud and awkward, saying no with her lips but with earlobes that turned slightly pink. Her sparkling eyes gazed at me, though of course, that was all before she met Julian. "It's the weekend, and there are quite a few people in the shop trying on wedding dresses. A young couple passed by Chloe. They looked like college students, still brimming with youthful innocence. The girl's face was full of longing as she clung to her boyfriend's arm and said, "We'll come here to buy our wedding dress someday too. Propose to me early, okay? Let's get married right after graduation. And another thing, you have to keep loving me forever." She chattered on endlessly, her boyfriend showing not the slightest hint of impatience. In that fleeting moment they passed by, Chloe held my ring tightly in her hand. As if recalling something, her lips moved slightly, her voice was soft, yet I heard it clearly. She whispered softly, "Leo, didn't you say you wanted to see me in a wedding dress?" My gaze met hers. "Yes, back when I still loved you, a long time ago." "What a pity, Chloe, you won't be wearing a wedding dress for me anymore. Actually, this time I'm using a business trip as an excuse to go look at wedding venues. A coastal town along the Oregon shore. When I was 17, at the worst point of my illness, she brought me here and gave me hope to live." "How long has it been?" "I nearly forgot. Chloe and I did have some good times together. 5. Before I turned 15, I was truly the town's golden child. Life had always been smooth sailing. I grew up basking in endless indulgence and praise. But everything changed after my parents had my younger brother. I was no longer their one and only. They always prioritized him over me. Countless times I heard, 'Leo, your brother is still little, you should let him have his way. Leo, don't argue with your brother. Leo, we're sorry, your brother is sick, mom and dad need to take care of him.' Because of my brother, they missed my first major performance in life. Because of my brother, when there was nearly a gas leak at home, all I got was, 'He's still young, it wasn't on purpose, stop making a fuss.' I'll never forget how icy my mother's gaze was after I made him cry for the first time. 'Leo, if you keep this up, we really won't love you anymore.' Young and sensitive, I couldn't understand why my parents had changed so much, and could only blame that little pest for everything. It just so happens that my little brother clings to me the most and likes me best. He always blinks his big, round eyes and sweetly calls me Big Brother. Even if I bully him in private, deliberately snatch his toys or snacks, he never tattles on me. When he learned that his mischief nearly caused me to be hospitalized from gas poisoning, that little guy lay by my bed, pouting and crying his heart out. Between sobs, he kept calling out, "Big Brother, I'm sorry, Big Brother." Everyone envied me for having such an adorable younger brother, but no one knew how much I wanted to get rid of him, that little nuisance. At the time, I didn't realize what I truly hated was my parents' favoritism. My brother hadn't done anything wrong. Later, he drowned. It became the nightmare of my lifetime. The truth is, there had been a chance to save him, but I hesitated for just a moment. I thought everything could return to how it was before, if only he weren't around, just me, mom, and dad. No one would share my parents' love. But in that instant, it was already too late. The creek swept him away. I plunged into the water, desperately swimming toward him, but could only watch helplessly as he flailed, carried further and further by the current. Ever since, regret has haunted me day and night. I told my parents everything, exactly as it happened. My mother slapped me hard across the face and vowed to sever our mother-son relationship. Later, they truly abandoned me, moving abroad to settle down and leaving me with my grandfather. That was when my mental state completely collapsed. Every night I woke up sobbing, often dreaming of my little brother. In those dreams, he'd cry and ask me, "Big Brother, why didn't you save me?" I suffered from severe depression, often experiencing hallucinations, and in the later stages, even self-harm tendencies. By my side was only Chloe. She sought out the finest therapists nationwide, accompanying me to consultation after consultation. She never left my side. That year, the snow in Seattle fell endlessly, as if it would never cease. A world blanketed in white. After Chloe discovered my unconscious suicidal behavior, she stubbornly argued with her mother for a month until they agreed to take me to Oregon. The doctor said that place was ordinary yet warm, with flowing water and households, perhaps capable of rekindling my longing for life. My psychological recovery lasted for 2 years, and Chloe accompanied me through all of them. Countless nights she held my arm, repeating over and over, "Leo, you must survive. Leo, you still have me." In the darkest and most hopeless moments of my life, the only thing I could cling to was Chloe. She pulled me out of the abyss, yet later, it was she who pushed me back in. Chloe and I had our final falling out at the end of June, in the height of summer. Julian went abroad. In her eyes, I was the one who drove him away. What she didn't know was that Julian's father had late-stage liver cancer and needed a large sum of money. I took the initiative to approach him, promising not only to cover his medical expenses but also to ensure his father would receive the best treatment available. The price was that he had to leave Chloe. I admit, I was despicable, playing tricks, scheming, but this was the only lifeline I could grasp. Without Chloe, I couldn't go on living. Julian agreed. Just as I'd hoped, he broke up with Chloe and left for distant shores. Chloe also grew to loathe me because of this. During our most heated argument over Julian, she blurted out, "Did you treat your younger brother the same way back then? For the sake of selfishness, bullying and humiliating others." My face turned pale, The old wound was torn open, raw and bleeding. The pain nearly brought me to my knees. She knew me well, knew exactly where to plunge the knife to hurt the most. The guilt towards my younger brother is something I'll never be able to let go of in this lifetime. I never expected that for Julian's sake, she'd so casually dredge up the scars that had nearly cost me half my life. Sarah once asked me if I hated her. I thought for a long time, then shook my head. We've known each other since childhood. When even my own parents didn't want me, it was Chloe who caught my fall. So no matter how many outrageous things she did to me, I just couldn't bring myself to hate her. I only blame myself for not seeing clearly, stubbornly making things difficult for her and for myself. If only I'd let go sooner, perhaps there wouldn't have been so much hurt later. The regret is, there are no if-onlys in this world. 7. Finally, the 10th day after my death, 3:25 p.m. Chloe received an apology call from the ferry company. At the time, she was accompanying Julian on the set of a short film. Under the spotlight, Chloe froze in place, listening to the other party repeatedly ask, "Excuse me, are you the family member of the victim Leo White? Excuse me, are you his family member?" She only snapped back to reality after the question was repeated several times. She hung up without saying a word. Julian noticed her pale expression and asked what was wrong. Chloe replied expressionlessly, "Got a scam call." It was the most ordinary day, with most of the plane tree leaves already fallen across Seattle's streets. Chloe couldn't reach me and went running to Sarah's place. Literally running. When she arrived at Sarah's doorstep, Sarah happened to be returning with someone else. That person took one look at Chloe and immediately slapped her across the face. It was Victoria. Back in college, me, Chloe, and Victoria, we used to be the closest of friends. Later on, Victoria seemed to deliberately avoid me, and when I noticed, I didn't ask her why. And so, we drifted further and further apart. Victoria grabbed Chloe by the collar, pinned her against the wall, and shouted, "Back then, I stepped aside because I thought you'd be happy together. Look at you now. Are you all this happy? Huh? He's gone, not even a trace of his remains left." Victoria spoke, delivering another harsh slap. Chloe didn't fight back. She stared stubbornly at Victoria as if she couldn't comprehend what Victoria was saying. "Where is he? Where is he? Where's Leo?" Victoria was still holding her suitcase, covered in the dust of travel. Instead of answering Chloe's question, she said, "Chloe, congratulations on your liberation. Leo won't bother you anymore." Chloe's expression turned displeased. "What kind of trick are you playing? Did he tell you to say that?" She wiped the blood from the corner of her mouth, sneering, always resorting to childish tactics. "Out with it, what does he want this time?" Victoria's eyes reddened, unable to hold back her furious scream. "He's dead. He's dead, Chloe. The ferry crashed. He's never coming back. Are you satisfied now? Happy now? You hate him the most, don't you? What are you doing here with your fake kindness now?" Victoria seemed to have finally found vent for her emotions, and after shouting, she collapsed into uncontrollable sobs. "Die?" Chloe swayed slightly on her feet. It took quite a while before she managed to force out a strained smile. "What nonsense are you talking about? What do you mean die? What are you saying? How could Leo die? I just agreed to his proposal the other day. He won't die. His greatest wish in life was to marry me. We haven't even gotten married yet. He couldn't possibly be gone. He'll come back to me alive. I'm going to wait right here for him." The hallway was eerily silent. Chloe suddenly kicked the door in frustration. "Fine if he's not coming back. It's good. I've had enough of him all these years anyway." I tried hard to find a trace of sadness on her face. None. There was nothing. 8. Chloe returned to our apartment. At home, no me, nor any warm homemade meals. She called me many times. "The number you dialed is power off," again and again. Then she started sending messages. "Leo, where are you? Why aren't you coming home?" Getting no reply, she kept texting. "The flowers at home are withering, with you gone, no one's taking care of them. Didn't you keep insisting I go watch that movie with you? I bought the tickets. Mom asked about you today, said you haven't visited her in ages. Are you still mad? Stop fooling around and come home already." Chloe's fingers clutching the phone turned white at the knuckles from sheer tension. "By the way, I got a scam call today. They said you were dead. Even Sarah and Victoria said the same. How ridiculous. Has everyone gone mad?" Chloe burst into laughter, then curled up in the corner of the sofa, bending forward. I can't decipher the turbulent emotions swirling in her eyes. Strange. Hadn't she had enough of me long ago? Didn't she tell me to get lost and never come back? Why won't she accept the fact of my death? Why does she keep stroking the ring on her ring finger? I studied her features carefully and came to a conclusion. Stubborn. On the 15th day after my death, Chloe remained remarkably calm about my passing. She didn't shed a single tear, nor did she ask Sarah any further questions, going about her daily routine of commuting to and from work as usual. When colleagues at the company heard about what happened to me, they offered their condolences for her loss. She retorted, "Condolences? What do I mean by condolences?" Her indifferent demeanor actually left the other person speechless. I rolled my eyes hard on the side. Right, as if it wasn't her who kept calling my name in the middle of the night. Ever since receiving news of my death, Chloe appeared relatively normal during the day. But once night falls, I wake up several times in just 3 or 4 hours. Then I'd stare blankly at some corner for what feels like forever. One night, she woke up and stumbled over something while getting out of bed. She just sat there like that, muttering my name over and over like a mantra. In an instant, I could feel an agony that tore at my very soul. I only then realized, for some reason, the more frequently she thought of me, the more uncomfortable I felt. Somewhat agitated. Will you think of me? Such a Chloe was unpredictable. 10. The 20th day after my death, Julian came to the apartment. He obviously knew about what happened to me. Worried, he asked Chloe, "Are you okay? I heard about Leo." Julian reached out to grab her hand, but she dodged it. Chloe didn't let him in. She said coolly, "Leave. If Leo comes back and sees you, he won't be happy." Julian widened his eyes and took a few steps back. "What nonsense are you talking about, Chloe? He's already dead." Chloe's eyes turned icy as she enunciated each word slowly. "He is not dead." Julian's gaze fell upon the interior of the room. Chloe had been cooking hot pot just before he arrived. 2 sets of bowls and chopsticks were placed on the table. "Don't scare me, Chloe." Chloe didn't want to engage with him any further and made a move to close the door. But Julian could see the turbulent waves concealed beneath her calm surface. As if deliberately provoking her, "He's dead, Chloe. Do you admit these are the facts?" Julian threw out the death certificate. "Stop lying to yourself. He's not dead." Chloe suddenly snatched the death certificate like a madwoman, tearing it to shreds. "He wouldn't die. He couldn't die. How dare he die and abandon me?" She screamed through her tears, clearly consumed by rage, gasping for air between sobs. The death certificate deeply shocked her. I watched Julian freeze in place, completely dumbfounded. A bitter smile. If she refuses to believe it, then so be it. Why keep provoking her like this? That evening ultimately ended with Chloe vomiting blood and collapsing unconscious at home. 11. Chloe must have gone mad. On the 25th day after my death, Sarah and Victoria held a memorial service for me. She stormed in and wrecked the place. My photo frame was smashed to pieces on the floor. All our family and friends witnessed Chloe, like a cornered animal, roaring in despair. "He's not dead. What's the memorial for? What kind of sick memorial is this?" The crowd around them was shocked, unable to believe what they saw. Sarah raised her hand and slapped Chloe across the face. "Have you completely lost your mind? Let him go peacefully," she said. "Even at a time like this, can't you give him some dignity?" Outside, the rain poured down like a waterfall. She was dragged out of the memorial service by security. Drenched in rainwater and mud, she looked utterly disheveled, but she didn't care, just repeating endlessly, "He hasn't left, hasn't left. I can still feel him. Leo, Leo, please come back. I can't hold on much longer. I'll admit I was wrong, okay? Stop playing around." In the rain, on the muddy ground, the proud princess's face was covered in dirt. The scene made me dizzy for a moment. Back when we were in our second year of high school, Chloe saved a girl from being bullied. She ended up offending a gang of troublemakers. Chloe had been sheltered too well. She was naive and innocent, unaware of the world's cruelty, and sure enough, she faced brutal retaliation. In an alley after school, she was surrounded by 7 or 8 people, all of them wielding knives. I rushed in to save her, first with my fists, then my shoes, and soon after, something cold plunged into my stomach. When I woke up along the way, Chloe was kneeling beside the blinding white hospital walls, praying fervently in a certain direction. Later, I survived. She sat by my bed, clumsily peeling fruit for me with unpracticed hands. At that time, I could have asked her to do anything for me. Like a couple supporting each other in adversity, clinging to survival through mutual dependence. So Chloe, did you love me too? Then why didn't we ever love each other properly? 12. Chloe was taken to the hospital. For several days after that, she lay there waking up without eating, drinking, or speaking. She survived solely on 4 fluids. On the 29th day after my death, she became pale and weak, barely resembling a human anymore. She wanted nothing but death. Later that evening, her mother rushed back from out of town. Chloe's mother never mentioned a single word about me. Urging her to eat, Chloe finally spoke upon seeing her, her voice hoarse beyond measure. "Mom, I want Leo. I can't find him." Her mother remained silent for a while, refraining from saying anything that might upset her. She merely asked, "So did you treat Leo well?" She set down the porridge and asked the question I'd always wanted to ask. "Do you really hate Leo that much? Just because he forced Julian to break up with you back then, is that the only reason you haven't spoken properly to Leo all these years?" I acutely sensed that I had missed something important. Chloe gazed out the window at the gray November sky over Seattle. She closed her eyes in despair. "Mom, do you really think Lot loves me?" But in truth, The only person he's ever cared about is Victoria. I heard it with my own ears during our senior graduation. The words struck like a bolt from the blue. Suddenly, distant memories came flooding back. Of course, choose Victoria. If I could, I would love Victoria properly. On the night of our college graduation, Sarah and I went to KTV with a bunch of friends to celebrate. As we were leaving, Sarah jokingly asked, if Victoria had appeared in my life earlier than Chloe, who would I choose? Of course I'd choose Victoria. She's so kind and takes such good care of me. Back then, Chloe had just gotten into a relationship with someone else. I felt unbearably frustrated, and to make matters worse, I was drunk. They were all words said in a childish fit of temper, but as I kept saying them, I actually started to indulge in the fantasy myself. If I had met Victoria first, perhaps I really wouldn't have clung to Chloe so desperately. She wouldn't have gotten fed up with me, and then, we wouldn't have tormented each other like this. If possible, I'd really love to love Victoria. I casually glanced around after saying those words. A fleeing figure disappeared through the doorway. I didn't pay it any mind. So, was it Chloe? If it was, she didn't hear the second half of what I said. Slumping drunkenly against Sarah, I slurred out the rest of my unfinished sentence. But there are no what-ifs. I love Chloe, and only her. That crucial latter half, she never heard. 13. From Chloe's confession, I pieced together another story. She had already fallen for me, but back then, fresh out of my brother's nightmare, I was full of self-doubt and sensitivity. Later in college, Chloe met Julian. Julian was being harassed by his ex and asked her to pretend to be his girlfriend to shake them off. Somehow, the news reached me. I heard they became a couple. Decided to bless them. At that moment, Chloe felt an unprecedented rage. Does Leo really not care at all? Soon, Julian, who had asked her to fake being his girlfriend, truly fell in love with her. The day Julian confessed his feelings, she saw me carrying Victoria on my back, heading to their dormitory downstairs. Victoria, Sarah, and I were chatting and laughing together. It had been so long since I last smiled like that, ever since I got trapped in my younger brother's dream. That trusting smile reserved for those closest to me. Chloe froze on the spot. Julian understood what was on her mind and didn't press further. He only asked her to keep up the act a little longer. Remembering how Julian had once helped her, Chloe agreed. But I misunderstood. Chloe often caught glimpses of me staring blankly at her retreating figure whenever they turned away. She didn't explain. She thought I wouldn't care. If I did, I would have fought to get her back. She thinks I only care about Victoria. She won't play the fool again. But any love that can be concealed isn't true love. She couldn't deceive herself, so when graduation came, she resolved to give us another chance. She wanted to explain to me, to confess. But what did she hear outside the private room's door? I say, choose Victoria. I say, if possible, I'd want to love Victoria. I should have known earlier, Chloe and I were never meant to be. Chloe fled in panic. After that came years of confrontation. Nothing disgusted her more than my pretense of love, chaining her to my side. But it wasn't me who bound her in place, it was her own unwillingness to leave. The birthday wishes from our college days became a thorn in her heart that she could never pluck out. She deliberately crossed boundaries with others in front of me, time and time again. All just to see me jealous, to watch me lose my mind over her, then gain herself scant comfort from my suffering. After confessing everything, Chloe threw herself into her mother's arms, crying uncontrollably. Mom, I can't bear to lose him. In this lifetime, I'll marry no one but him. He's such a strong swimmer, he'll definitely survive and come back to marry me. Mom, don't you think so? Her mother held her tightly without saying a word. I snapped back to reality with great difficulty. The heavens had played a cruel joke. I thought she loved Julian, while she believed I had feelings for Victoria. So many beautiful moments were utterly wasted. An overwhelming sense of helplessness washed over me. 14. At dawn, Chloe suddenly vomited copious amounts of blood. All her vital signs were critically unstable. Critical condition notices had been issued multiple times. This is the 30th day since my death. Miraculously, after waking up in the ICU, she could finally see me. Chloe's eyes instantly brightened. Leo? She didn't dare move, staring at me with greedy intensity. Moonlight streamed through the window. In just a few days, she had grown so much thinner. Chloe wept and laughed all at once. Oh, Leo, they told me you were dead. You're not dead, right? I didn't answer. We weren't far apart, and Chloe's throat moved as she swallowed. Word by word, her voice held both a promise and a threat. Leo, if you die, I won't remember you. I grinned at her. Even now, you still refuse to talk to me properly? My body felt lighter and lighter. Time was running out. I took a deep breath. I heard every word of your conversation with your mother. Chloe, listen carefully. It hurts so much every step closer to her feels like my soul is being roasted over flames. The pain spread from my internal organs to my fingertips. That night when we graduated senior year, you missed the second half of the sentence. I love you, and only you. Victoria was never the issue between us. These words have exhausted all my strength. My body is gradually turning transparent. Heaven has only given me 30 days. Chloe's panic became instantly visible as she lunged forward to grab me. The moment she touched me, I dissolved into nothingness. Leo, Leo. She struggled and tumbled off the bed. In a daze, I said, stop torturing yourself. Chloe, live well, I don't want to see you ever again. Finally, I added, not even in the next life. I wasn't lying, I truly meant it. The pain was too much to bear. In the end, I dreamed of 17-year-old Chloe. No tough talk, no feigned indifference. She just clung to me, only treated me kindly. In the dream, I stood before her and shouted at the top of my lungs, Chloe, I love you. Only you. This time, let's not miss each other again. Extra, Chloe, one they all say he's gone. A bunch of lunatics. I can feel Leo. He's right beside me. He never went far too. Made hot pot today, Leo's favorite. He used to take it out to the hallway to eat because he was afraid I'd mind the smell. Actually, I don't mind it. His hot pot had the sweet aroma of mortal life. It's been a long time since I last had hot pot with him. 3. While eating hot pot, Julian came to my apartment looking for me. He flung the death certificate at me, pages filled with dense text, but I couldn't understand a single word. 4. Victoria and Sarah arranged a memorial service for him. My heart feels like it's been struck by a silent blow. Come back soon, Leo. I can't hold on anymore. 5. Had a dreamt about Leo. He said he loves me. He also said he doesn't want to see me. 6. It snowed in Seattle today. If he were by my side, we'd walk home together through the falling snow. Guess we could have grown old together after all. Shame it'll never happen now. 7. Found a dog downstairs in our compound. Skinny as a rake. Was going to leave it be. Then I remembered Leo always liked dogs, so I brought it home. 8. Few months later and the little bastard's fat as a pig. I named him Buddy. Buddy, as in pal. On the 9th, I drew a portrait of him from memory. Buddy lay quietly at my feet. I kinda miss Leo now. On the 10th, Victoria went abroad. Rumor has it she doesn't plan to return this time. She came for drinks with me before leaving, said some baffling things. Chloe, you're more pitiful than me. I curled my lips and ignored her. 11. Leo. Mom mentioned you casually during dinner today. The whole family stared at me nervously. Helpless. Everyone's worrying over nothing. It's been so long I can barely remember what you look like. 12. Leo. I won't remember you. 13. Sarah won an international award today. You must be pretty happy now. Ryan, you're in Alaska. Back in school, you kept nagging about coming to Alaska to see the northern lights. I listened to your favorite song, Taylor Swift's Exile. Leo, was I ever really not good to you? 15. Buddy's health is getting worse. He seemed to have some issues when I first picked him up. I'm a bit annoyed. Buddy will be alright, won't he? I don't want to be alone anymore. 16. Spring has come, and I went to that restaurant we frequented during our college days. The owner's wife asked about you. She noticed the wedding ring on my finger. Are we married? I wanted to say at first. You ran off and disappeared. I couldn't find you at all. But then I thought better of it and just nodded. 17. My eyesight has been failing badly lately. Leo, you're quite obedient. I said I didn't want to dream of you, and so you never once entered my dreams. 18. Buddy is gone. 19. Leo, it's been 3 years, you still haven't come back. They've all stopped waiting for you. Only I'm still waiting. 20. You seem like you're really not coming back. 21. Mom asked me to go pray in the church chapel. No furrowed brows, no horse curses. Whatever. Since I'm already here, what should I pray for? Leo, did you say you didn't want to see me? Alright then, may Leo in his next life find peace and happiness and never have to meet me again. Epilogue. For years after Leo left, Chloe committed suicide by slitting her wrists. Large quantities of sleeping pills and painkillers were discovered in the house, along with countless portraits of Leo. Chloe's mother wasn't surprised in the slightest. Ever since Leo left, she knew this day would come for her daughter. Following her daughter's final wishes, she sent someone to lock up the apartment. No one was allowed inside. The room stood in perfect silence. Only the old notebook by the windowsill fluttered open to a random page in the wind. It contained writing from 17-year-old Chloe. The handwriting had faded slightly but remained faintly legible. She wrote, Leo has no family left. I will stay with Leo forever. Chloe Miller will always love Leo White. The end.